Today we're talking about Lyme's disease and the ever popular question, do you treat Lyme's disease? Throw in any diagnosis name, we get that question a lot. Lyme's, like MCAS and chronic illness and autoimmune, they have, I don't believe that there is just one specific treatment. There are things that conventionally are suggested that you do, should you have a particular diagnosis, but that's not where I live. I'm not acute care, I'm not a physician. My doctorate is as an educator, and the thing that we have to understand with chronic illness, especially when it comes to Lyme's disease, most people want to treat it or have it treated. They want it taken care of, out of the way, done with, whatever I need to do to get this taken care of. What most people don't understand is complexities, and I would say that's where I land. So the treatment that is suggested, the conventional treatment, that lives in the world of physician land. But what I play in this role is working on the complexities. There are a lot of things that you have to consider. We have to look at the terrain. We have to look at the experience of the body as a whole, not just of Lyme's disease, but everything that has led up to it. And so the antibiotic treatment will treat the spirochete, but it won't treat the reason why the immune system is being affected the way that it is. It won't treat any downline effects in the metabolic system or in the immune system. And we certainly don't know what has been encapsulated in the nervous system up to this point as well. So we have to look at it as a whole systems approach. And so I think where physicians are good with understanding and finding a diagnosis and then applying the conventional treatment for it, and there are natural treatments as well, where I live is in understanding the function, the systems, and the complexities that go along with something like a diagnosis of Lyme's disease. So I help work on systems and symptoms. If we look at the terrain of the whole being, I like to explain it like this. If you have a flowing river, the river is beautiful and crystal, and it's dancing in the sunlight, and it's flowing and it's clear, and the fish are thriving in this river, and you can watch this river flow. And then a storm happens and a tree falls across that river. Now all of a sudden we are creating a stoppage. We're not allowing the river to flow any longer, and without that natural flow, what we will see is maybe algae pooling. We'll get kind of a cesspool of green and algae and weeds and things that wouldn't have been there if the river was allowed to continue to flowing like normal. So we see the algae in there, and we're like, oh, we shouldn't have algae there. Let's throw some anti-algae pills at it. And we are going to constantly have to do that because the algae is going to constantly come up against that tree trunk and continue to build algae. So it would look good for a period of time, but the problem didn't get fixed. And so the algae is still going to keep growing. The weeds are still going to keep growing. And so that's no different than seeing the downline symptoms and being like, oh, you're constipated, so let's throw some Miralax at it. Or, oh, you need some antibiotic. Look at that algae in there. Let's throw some antibiotic at it. We still didn't remove the tree out of the river, the tree that is blocking it and causing the problem in the first place. So I like to look at it as pulling sticks out of the river. The river of your body, the river of your systems should flow freely and functionally. It's all about function. What is this system supposed to be doing, and what is getting in its way of continuing to do it? And so I like to be a partner and work integratively. So if you are using the antibiotic, I'm also taking into consideration what the treatment itself is causing in the body. It's never going to be, in something with complexities, it's never going to be a one size fits all. It's never going to be a one pill and then that's the end of it. So first we have to see how each system is being affected, and in something like Lyme's disease, you might feel more neurological symptoms. The next person might feel more brain fog type symptoms. The next person might be affected more digestively or skin rashing. So we have to look at each system. How are all 5 eliminative systems handling and managing? What's the lymphatic system doing? What is the influence on the immune system? how much in a survival state is the nervous system, and therefore what are the biochemicals that survival state is expressing in the body, because that is going to make a completely different outcome in a person that is running survival biochemistry than a person who wasn't previously in a state of survival. We have to get out of this idea, I believe, that it's about treatment. It's not about treatment, it's about function. And the complexities that I talk about, I call them complexities because it's the Lyme tick or the mosquito that you got bit by that caused the infection. It didn't just deposit that infection into you. There's an impact that it created then in multiple systems. So it becomes complex. It's not like, oh, I got a cut across my hand. I'm able to just put a Band-Aid on it and allow the body to be protected while it forms its scab, and then it's over. It's not like that. So especially in a chronic illness, I always say you don't get injured once, you get injured twice. Once in the body and once in the nervous system where it's storing the experience. So we always have to work with the nervous system's idea of what is happening in the body, because it relays messages down to the body, to the immune system and to the metabolic system, and it'll say, hey, we're under threat, we're under attack, I need everybody to go onto full defense mode, and there's a lot of inflammation created with that. If that's not happening, if that is happening, your whole metabolism is going to be off, how you digest is going to be off, what your immune system is going to be responding like is going to be off. So there's a whole downline effect of things that happen. So these complexities come from imbalances, and imbalances come from dysfunctional systems. These dysfunctional systems come from influences like the Lyme tick. So we have to not just leave it at, oh, there was a diagnosis, there's Lyme's disease, here's the antibiotic treatment for it. We have to go beyond and now say, here's the antibiotic treatment for it. What else is happening in the body from this Lyme tick? What messages is that sending to the rest of the systems, and where's the dysfunction there? Are they capable of eliminating? Are the cells capable of nutrients in, waste out, and then reproducing healthfully? And dealing with the influence is one thing. Dealing with the dysfunctional systems and imbalances is quite the other. So that's the side where I come in. I really do feel like chronic illness definitely needs to be a partnering relationship. We can't focus on one side or the other. We can't be antibiotic heavy on one side and then not pay attention to the other systems that are related. Can't ignore those complexities. Many diseases come from the inside to outward expression, and they'll have a downline effect. Lyme comes from an outside influence and interrupts the normal flow in the body's functions. So we have to work to support and restore these functional systems, not just treat. This is where that integrative modalities work well together. So when there is an outside influence coming in, like that tree that dropped in the river, something is going to have to happen to lift the tree out of the river, but we're also going to have to pay attention to the ecosystems of the effect of that tree falling into the river. Once it's removed, that's a huge part of it, but then we also have to go back to refunctioning those systems and helping to remove the complexities of what's caused by something that is largely attacking on the body. It can be challenging in illnesses with complexities because it's kind of like the squeaky wheel will get the most attention. So what's drawing your attention this week? And then by next time you come back, it's the rash, and the next time it's the brain fog, and the next time it's the symptoms of neurology. And it's hard to stay clear to one domino that would have effect on all of the other dominoes. And so I use something that I call the body clues compass. There is a hierarchy of expressions in the body, And I think what happens is we get sidetracked by the squeakiest wheel, and then we're working on whatever that symptom is, and we never get back to the core problem, the tree that fell across the river. And we don't work with the body in a way that works with the hierarchy of how the body heals. So I have developed what's called a body clues compass, and it lets you kind of identify which hierarchical stage are you in so that you can support that stage first. If there is a survival response, it does not always mean that you need to intervene. Sometimes we need to be supported, the body needs support and it needs intervention, or it needs nourishment, or it needs a nudge. But other times it needs less. So we have to determine amongst this hierarchy, which stage are you in? Which one has to come first? Are we working on immune or metabolic, the eliminative states, the thyroid, the adrenal, the stress states? Or where are we at on that stage, on that perspective? And then, is it better for the body right now if we support and intervene, or if we pull back and allow? When the body is in a stress state or in a resistant state, then we always have to go to regulation first. So that's a missing piece that when we're thinking only treatment based, we're only thinking, what was the invader? How do you kill the invader? We're not thinking about where the body's at, what positioning it's in, what dysfunctions are present. If we work on this system before this system in the hierarchy, it's not going to be long lasting, because the nervous system is going to give messages down to every other system. The immune system will determine messages to the metabolic and digestive systems, for example. If decreasing strategies works, then that is a good sign that the nervous system actually needs to get regulated first. So there are times, and I'm sure if you are suffering from a chronic illness or from Lyme's disease, you have gotten to a place where it was like, I'm taking everything, I'm doing everything, and nothing is working. And that's because we're not in agreement with what the body is trying to do. You're not matching the hierarchy of where the body has positioned itself and what it's working on first. And then not only that, but the body will put its efforts on what it thinks is most necessary. So if you're irritated by neurological symptoms and numbness and tingling and weird feelings, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the body thinks is the highest priority. So you're putting all of these things onto neurology, and you're taking B vitamins and healthy fats and things like that, and you're like, nothing's working, I'm still having this feeling. And that's because you're not in agreement with where the body is putting its highest priority. So learning the complexities, learning which system is the highest priority for the body at the time, and what needs the most nourishment to balance itself. So the first system, the nervous system, will have to balance the immune system will have to balance the metabolic system will have to balance the eliminative systems and the digestive systems. Let's see, I'm trying to think if you are in a state of Lyme's disease. What else do I need to tell you to think a little bit outside the box? There are co-infections to Lyme's disease. So a lot of people will think that Lyme's disease is the thing. In fact, that was the diagnosis. That's what was tested. And the co-infections get forgotten about. And some of them are spirochetes, some of them are bacterial, some of them are viral, and they do not all get treated the same way. And so from a nourishment perspective, from a cellular biology, from biochemistry, nutrition, that's all where I land. We have to learn how to support all that could be happening in the body, and where there could be energy leaks from these co-infections as well. I don't think people understand also that a diagnosis is the end all. They may have missed co-infections. They may not have tested for co-infections. One challenge is you have to pass 5 of the assays. Like there's 5 assays that are tested, and you have to have all 5 before there's a diagnosis of Lyme's disease. So there could be other triggers, other sticks in the river, especially based on what your history is as well. So watch our socials, Amanda Wentland, PhD. Watch us on Instagram and TikTok. I'm going to be posting things like the hierarchy of complexities. I'm going to be posting some of the major co-infections and their symptoms so that you can kind of watch and relate to those and see if they make sense for you. I'm going to put on there some Lyme and co-infection symptoms differences. I'm posting a cheat sheet for that. And just some random facts about Lyme. So if that's helpful for you, I'm here to give you information so that you can toss it around with all of your other ideas in your head and see what makes sense for your situation. If you are diagnosed with Lyme's and you have been undergoing treatment and you want to take a look at the holistic picture, you want to look at the holism of your body, you want to look at the complexities, maybe you're not getting as far as you would like, and you want to and you want some help on working on those imbalances and dysfunctional systems, you can go to amandawentland.com. If you click the Get Started button, there are 4 options that you can start with. So different price ranges for everybody's needs. So from a simple call charged per minute up to the full program. Take a look and see where you fit and where you fall in. So hope that was helpful. Watch our socials, Amanda Wentland, PhD, and we will talk in the next video. See you soon.